welcome to episode 4 of Ghosts and That. I'm your host Andrew, and today I have a special guest. He has 2 best-selling books and he has a play which I went to go and see in January, and I very much enjoyed it. It was great to see the first book brought to life on stage by Coalface Productions. The book and the play of the same name is The Lady in the Bay Window, and today I will be speaking to the one and only William C. Grave.
Yeah, so people, if you've read the books or if you've seen the books, The Lady in the Bay Window, they were written by me. So you probably know me as William C. Grave if you've read the books. If you haven't and you've just seen me about, you probably know me as Liam, because it was all written under a pseudonym. So the books that I've written, the first one was in essence 18 years of me living in my home, which I'm sat in now as you speak to me on this podcast. You can see this, but I think we're just going out on audio, aren't we?
Yeah,
so
we're doing audio.
Listeners will be able to see this.
We both look a bit. We're both tired, aren't we? We don't want to be.
I've got a toddler, so you know what that's like. It's
I do,
it's hard work when you're living off about 3 hours sleep a night.
Yeah.
So that's why we're not going on video today. But yes, the first book, The Lady in the Bay Window, I wrote it on a serious note. Basically, my mum had a rare form of breast cancer, and she suffered for 5 years with that. She fought very bravely throughout, and unfortunately she lost her battle back in May 2023. Now, during that time, the first 2 years, I'd kind of been doing sponsored dog walks, anything I could do to raise a bit of money for the cancer charity that was looking after, which was Cavendish Cancer Care. I then injured my knee, and I was basically laid up on the sofa, and something very strange and paranormal happened in the house. Now, I've been here at the time, crikey, I've been here 15 years at the time, and a lot of stuff has happened that's paranormal over the years. There's been, well, I now know there's been 7 sightings by 6 different people of an old lady that they all describe the same, and I think the big strange thing for me is they all don't know each other. They know me, but they've described exactly the same old lady in the house. So it kind of, I had a couple of friends who kind of spurred me on from that story, one of which said, it'd be great if you wrote about these things. Now, I'm not a writer. We've spoke offline a couple of times, Andy. I'm definitely far from being a writer. But that night...
You've not done bad, though, I'm not going to lie. You've not done bad, mate.
I've done all right.
Done all right.
I kind of put pen to paper or finger to iPhone and started writing down all just bullet points of the stories that had happened through the years, and then interviewed, or I hate saying interviewed your mates, it's chatted with, isn't it, I suppose. I chatted with my mates to find out exactly what went on, family and friends that have visited the house, and paranormal things have happened to them. Went through that with all of them throughout these stories, then got them all in chronological order, and decided I was going to self-publish the book and raise some money for Cavendish Cancer Care, which is now part of Weston Cancer Charity, which is a huge...
I was going to ask you about that. I seen that the other day. The name of the charity had changed. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, that explains that one.
Yeah, they've just gone with Weston Park now, so they're all part of the same thing. So they still offer the same services, but they offer over and above services now, because they're quite a large charity. But I'm one of their biggest benefactors, so I've now raised just over £54,000 for...
That's incredible, dude, isn't it?
The cancer charity. Thank you.
Such a worthy cause
it's just
as well.
Unreal.
It affects it's affected everybody in their life at some point, hasn't it? I mean, I know myself personally, and... yeah, I think it's incredible, dude. I think, amazing.
Thank you, mate. And I think going back to day one, and we discussed this, obviously you were at one of the theatre shows the other week, which is probably one of the most surreal things I've ever...
I was at the first one. I came to the first one, I was... the second them tickets went on sale, I was like, bang, straight on it. Yeah.
And it sold out in 3 days.
Yeah.
Just crazy. Crazy. So... yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, by the way. Was it good night?
Yeah, I thought it was. There was some really funny moments in it. Do you know what I mean? I thought the guy that played the paranormal investigator, he was, honestly, he's cracking me up. He's such. I can't remember. I didn't bring the program in, but
oh, you're right. It's a lad called Simon Jennings. And he's amazing. Very, very funny guy.
So funny, yeah. And the guy that played your dad as well, I thought he's brilliant.
Yes, well, Dean, to be fair, he only filled in at the last minute as well. So
No
the chap
way.
who played my dad, Dean, cracking guy, he came to us about 2 weeks beforehand because the chap who actually played my dad in the other 4 stage shows, or the 2 that have just gone and the 2 that are
Yeah.
coming up, is a guy called Phil, who'd been rehearsing for months to play that part,
Yeah.
and then had to go into hospital for
Oh, jeez.
I think it was eye surgery.
No way.
So Dean filled in at 2 weeks' notice, and he was awesome.
Must have
He
been
was really, really good.
must have been so surreal to see
Oh,
everything that you've experienced and your friends have experienced just out there on the stage for everybody. I mean, it's one thing having a book, innit? And when people are buying it and raising all the money, and then to see it on a stage, man, what a feeling! You know what I mean?
it was just honestly, mate. The whole thing to me is just surreal. I mean, one of the ladies who originally worked for Cavendish Cancer Care, Hayley, she came to that first stage show and did the raffle draw and stuff.
Oh, brilliant!
At the end of the night. And she came up to me that night, and she always does every time I see her. She just said, I can't believe we're here. From the days where I phoned them, and they basically said, what is it you're looking to raise money for? And I said, well, it's for my mum. It's in memory of my mum. I've written a book. It's about my haunted home. And they probably thought I was a little bit nuts, to be fair, at the time. And she just said, how much are you looking to raise? And I said, well, I don't know, probably a couple of grand, something like that. And it did it in the first day. It raised over that in the first day, and they were on the phone to me saying,
it's 24 hours.
Mad.
Yeah.
It's gone absolutely mad. But I love it. It's amazing. And I think the whole paranormal community, I mean, me even talking to you now, I'd have never met you if I'd not done any of this.
That's it, innit? Yeah.
We've been chatting for a few weeks and stuff. So,
I mean, I only started doing this. I think I started it in November, like just getting it to, because I've been listening to this kind of stuff for years. I was like, I could do that. Why can't I ever go at that? So I thought, right, I'm going to do it. Whatever. If you don't ask, you don't get. You have to ask people if they want to be interviewed, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's hard work though. You'll find out when you start doing it's really hard.
I already do. We're starting a podcast very, very soon. So we're starting filming the first episode of Beyond the Bay Window. So we're going to be interviewing people from the house because obviously at the minute it's my word that you're hearing. But what I'm going to do is get those people on camera. We've got 4 4K cameras. We've got studio lights. We're going to set up in the kitchen, so it'll be filmed in the house as well. So if you capture anything while that's going on, because it is still an active house. That's what I'm quite excited for, and interviewing the people that I've written about in the books, but that's me telling their story. It's them kind of telling me the story for me to tell you guys.
So
it'll be different having them sat in front of the camera and asking them the questions and seeing their reactions as well, because some of them were literally, when they're telling me, you can see the fear in their eyes when they were telling me the story 20 years on, because I've been here 21 years now. And that's what the second book is all about, the last few years in the house. And
I just want to touch on the second book for a second. Because I listened to the audiobook because I don't have time at home, so I bought both the books and I bought both the audiobooks as well, so I could listen to them at work. And I remember the first story. I think it is. I just refer to my notes actually. I think it was the first chapter. You talk about Doug, and it's like that story when he was. He was in the shower, wasn't he?
Do you know what? Literally, before I've just come on this call, Doug used to live with me. He used to rent this room that I'm sat in right now, which is now my office. He phoned me about half an hour ago. I've not spoken to him for a while, and I was chatting away on the phone, and it was in return to me phoning him because he's the first person I'm interviewing for the podcast.
Oh, brilliant!
Because he's involved in 4 different stories throughout the 2 books throughout the years. Because he used to be my best pal. Growing up, he still is a very, very good mate, but as you grow older and you've got kids and you just don't see each other as much, so I was chatting to him on the phone literally minutes before I've jumped on this call with you.
That was crazy. Just tell us about that story actually.
Of course I can. So Doug is, well, at the time, bear in mind I was 19 when I bought this house, so it was December 2004 that I moved into the property. Within 6 months, my fiance and I, who I was with at the time, we'd gone our separate ways. It just didn't work out moving in together so quick. And I I wanted somebody to move in more than anything. I had a 3-bed semi-detached house. I was 19 years old.
Rattling around on
And
your own in a 3-bed house, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was living on my own. So I asked him, he was the first person I phoned. He came up, had a look at the house and said, I love it. He walked in this room that I'm sat in right now as we're talking and said, I love it. When can I move in? And within a week, he'd moved all his stuff in. And it was the first time he'd moved out of his parents' house. Now, at the time, he was an apprentice electrician. So he'd very often, on a Friday, as apprentices do, or as sparkies do, sneak away early on a Friday afternoon and get to the pub. And we've got a lovely pub at the top of our road, the Red Lion pub. So he's come home from work a little bit early on a Friday. I was working at the time all hours God sends as a sales exec at the time, which was ridiculous hours back then. So I wouldn't have been back from work till probably 7:30 that night. I was working over at Hillsbury in Sheffield, so on the north side of Sheffield. While I'm at work, I just got back home midday. He's walked in the house. He's locked the front door behind him. He's the only person in the property. He's come upstairs. He's walked into this room that I'm sat in, which is now my office, one of the 3 bedrooms. It's the bedroom at the back of the house. He's got undressed and he's walked into the bathroom, which is sort of out onto the corridor. Turn left, you're straight into the bathroom. Now, at the time, it was an odd bathroom, to say the least. It was tiled with black, sort of marble-looking tiles up to halfway up the wall, and then white tiles up the rest of the wall. It's quite a strange-looking room, and all the bathroom, the bath, the toilet, and the sink were black.
Right,
so
that's weird.
It's a strange look. It was a strange. It wasn't my taste. It's not there anymore. But then just had the bath to your right hand side. You had the toilet and the sink in front of you. He's got undressed. He's got into the shower, and he's pulled the curtain sort of half closed. He didn't pull all the way across the bath. So as he stood there, he's facing the shower. He's just washing. I think I put in the book. He was washing his hair, and he didn't know how long he had left with his hair.
Yeah, that was it.
He's completely bald now, bless him. But at the time, he had sort of short, mousy grey hair. And as he's shampooing his hair, he saw out the corner of his eye like a shadowy mass in the bathroom behind the curtain. And he sort of stared at it. He's trying to work out what it is. And then he sees an old lady's face appear around the side of the curtain of the bathroom.
That's the stuff of nightmares, that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's crazy. It's horrendous, to be fair. I think for anybody, whether it's a ghost or it's an actual old lady in your bathroom, when you know you've locked the bathroom door behind you, it would freak anybody out. Now, Doug's he's quite a strapping lad, to be fair, but it did. Obviously, I chatted to him, I interviewed him at the table about this for the second book, and as you mentioned, it is the first chapter. I could see in his face that 20 years on from when this happened, he still had the shock look in his face when he was telling the story. Really wide-eyed, looked a little bit sort of upset as he was telling it. It was a strange sight to see your friend in. But as soon as this face had appeared around the side of the curtain, he saw the old lady's face, and then it just sort of dissipated behind the curtain, but the curtain moved with the face. So the curtain actually moved with it.
Right.
He jumped straight out the bath, wrapped the towel around him, went around the whole house, checked every room. The front door was still locked, so no windows unlocked or open. There was nobody else in the house with him that day. When I got back later that day, and I didn't put this story in the first book, which is madness to think back now that it had slipped my mind, but I can remember now him telling me the story when I got back that night. Now, if you can imagine, he's been in the pub for 5 or 6 hours. So I come home from work, he's in the house, but he's had quite a bit to drink, and he says, "This is what's happened to me today," and he tells me that story, and I kind of just waved it off and said, "All right, whatever." I didn't believe in any of this sort of stuff. Nothing had ever happened to me at that stage. There'd been 2 potential sightings in the house. One the week before I moved in, one on the first day that I moved in. But again, these were people that didn't know each other. They described this old lady very similar to what Doug had described on that night.
Well, that's it. When we go back to the first book, where you're going on a works do, and you've just bought the house, and I can't remember which mate it was. It's like, let's just drive past and have a look at your new gaff.
Yeah,
and
that was Craig.
Craig. And then Craig sees him. Sorry, he leans over you. It's like, he's a lady in the bay. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's crazy how you've not seen her.
I haven't. I'll tell you what I have seen. And my friend who's doing the podcast with me will kill me for telling you this, but because it's one of the bits we're doing on that. But I did see not too long back a full shadow figure in the front. Well, kind of in the front room, in the kitchen while I was sat in the front room. Just a normal night. Nobody else in the house. My wife, me, and my 2.5-year-old Xander. We were sat down. She'd cooked. She's really good cook, and she'd made a right nice curry. I'd been up to the shop and got some naan breads and poppadoms, pickle tray, set it all up in the front room while we were watching a bit of telly, which is a rarity for us both now with a little one. As she's just about to start tucking into hers and I'm eating mine, I looked up to say to her, "This is lovely." And as I looked up across, I'm at one corner of the corner sofa, she's at the other corner. We do normally sit together, but that's where we were sat that night. But she's sat with her back, so if you can imagine, the door to the kitchen is just behind her back, and it's open. And as I looked up to her to speak to her, I saw, it looked to me like somebody was just about to walk in the front room from the kitchen. Like somebody was just stepping through the kitchen into the front room. The shadow was on the wall on the far side behind her. And I sort of stumbled for breath and went, whoa, 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 whoa. What's that? And she sort of looked behind her and said, "What's wrong?" And as she looked behind her, the shadow disappeared. Now, we went to test this. I'm always, you've probably heard this when I did the Q&A at the show. If something happens, I run towards it, my wife runs away from it. My wife quickly jumped up off the sofa and ran to where I was sat and said, I'm not sitting there. And I went to go and test the theory, and I said, just do me a favour, just sit where I was sat, on that corner of the sofa, look in the direction that I'm looking, so you'll see the exact same angle. So she's looking sort of diagonally across the room through the door frame. And I walked as if I was going to walk into the front room. And I said, "Tell me when you see my shadow." And she said, "I can see it now." And I could see it on the wall next to me. Now, as I stepped forward into the doorway, if I would have taken one more, I stepped up right to the stage where I could see the shadow, where it stopped and it disappeared. If I'd have taken one more step, she would have seen me in the front room.
Yeah, true.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Of course.
So up to where I've stepped, I could see the shadow on the wall from before, and I could see what it was before. But the weirdest thing was, the shadow was taller than me. Now, you've met me. I'm quite tall, quite a lanky lad. I'm 6'4". Yeah. This shadow was a good 3 or 4 inches taller than what I could make it. But I could see literally a silhouette of full facial features, looked like a bloke with short hair, facial features. You could see chest, torso, arms moving. It was walking as if it was walking in the front room. And I've never seen that. I've seen shadows under doors, and I've heard footsteps go after them, and door handles be tried upstairs after that as well, and multiple witnesses have seen that. But I don't think, to my knowledge, anybody has seen a full shadow figure walking against a wall in the house when nobody's there. So I haven't seen the old lady, but I've seen that. It certainly puts the hairs up on your arms when you see something like that.
When did this happen again? Sorry.
I would have I've got the exact date on my phone because I keep dates and times. There. Even temperatures outside, what I was doing that day, all sorts of stuff. You never know when you write a third book, do you?
That was one of the questions that made me laugh at the Q&A. Somebody said, "Are you going to move out?" He's like, you went, "Well, I've got nothing to write about that, ever."
When you say that, literally tonight, while we've been having our tea tonight, sat downstairs, we've been looking at a couple of properties, so we are looking to move. We're running out of space in the house. I won't sell it, and it's not. I'm not going to sell the property genuinely because I've lived here 20 odd years and I love the place. And we're not in a hurry to move. It's just a case of we are running out of space a little bit with the little one. not a huge house, so we just want something a little bit bigger.
So, just bear with me on this because this is my second interview I've ever done with anybody. So,
Oh, mate, you're fine. Crack on.
I'm just gonna
You're doing grand. Don't worry.
doing all right, I suppose. I've done a lot of prep for this, so I can tell you now. Right, so I just want to jump back to the first book. I mean, I don't want you to talk about everything because I want people to read it from the book and listen to the audiobook. But I just want to talk about one thing, a couple of things that really sort of stuck with me as a reader. Now, when Sadie moved in, and I think you know what I'm going to talk about, and
I do.
The knives in the floor, that is awful. You know what I mean? Tell me about that, man. Just wow.
There's not a lot of stuff that happens in this house that is untoward or nasty or heinous or anything like that. But this one seemed that way. I don't think this is something a dainty old lady would do, trotting around the house, if I'm being honest.
That's one of the first things that I thought of as well.
Yeah, so basically, the house, I was living in the house on my own at the time. I used to do a poker night on a Thursday night, and the one rule of that, sorry for listeners that are of the female variety, but the one rule of that was no females are allowed. We called it lads' night, and it was basically a getaway for all the lads to have a beer and play poker. This one particular Thursday, I broke that golden rule and invited a family friend of mine that I've known since she was born round. And she came round and she said, can I bring my friend? She's actually looking to rent a room, and I know obviously you've got 2 rooms spare at the house. She's working in Sheffield, she needs a place to stay. So I told them both they could come. We had a good night at poker. One of the ladies won as well, which was really frustrating. But that night we agreed terms. So myself and the lady, I've changed all the names in the book, as you're well aware. All the names, the address have been changed, including mine. As you said, it's not William Seagrave, it's Liam. But a lady I've called Sadie in the book, she moved in that next week on the Friday. But while we were at poker, a few of the lads had said, why don't we have a moving in party? Now at that age, in my mid-20s, times were a little bit different. It was a bit more of a lad pad. It wasn't a family home that it is now. And it didn't take much to twist my arm to have a bit of a housewarming party. So I went out, bought loads of barbecue food, beer, and got ready for that particular night. Now, she moved in on the Friday, and the housewarming, was on the Saturday. So on the Saturday night, everyone's ordering the taxis back at silly o'clock in the morning, and I think it's about 3 in the morning, and it's far too late for me nowadays. But those days are gone.
That's it.
Unless I've been woken up by the little one at that time.
Yeah.
And basically, there was one lad left who I've called Seth in the book, who said, I'm not working till the afternoon tomorrow. Do you mind if I stay over and stop on the sofa? And I just said, yeah, not a problem. Obviously, we'll need to tidy up tomorrow, but I'll probably be a bit hungover. So I'm off to bed. And myself and Sadie went to our separate rooms. So I'm in the master bedroom. She's in this particular room that I'm speaking to you in at the minute, which is now my office, at the back of the house. Now, in the morning, I did hear Seth leave the house. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, pretty much to a T, 9 o'clock, I heard a black cab pull up outside, bumbling away outside, which woke me up. I then heard a slam of the door, and I'd left the keys in the door. And I actually told Seth before I went to bed, keys are in the door, don't wake me up when you leave.
Yeah.
So I heard the keys in the door when he slammed it, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to get up and go and lock it. Big heavy composite door, once it's closed, it's closed unless you pull that door handle down. I'm not going to go and lock it, I'm going to leave it. It's a Sunday morning, we live in a decent area. I've never had, touch wood, I've never had any trouble around here. Well, apart from a few bits of paranormal bits and bobs, but nothing from
the odd bit now and again.
not from the living. But at about 11 o'clock, so 2 hours pass, and I wake up a bit hungover, a bit groggy-headed, and I get to the top of the stairs. Now, as you walk out of my bedroom, there's a banister to the top of the stairs, and I sort of turned around that, started heading downstairs, scratching my head, and I looked up. And when I looked up, I saw that the front door was open. And it wasn't fully open, it was just sort of ajar, if you like, but it certainly wasn't closed. So I've run down the stairs and thought, oh no, I didn't lock the door this morning and somebody's broke in. I got to the door handle, I opened the door, I looked outside, and there was a bag outside, a handbag. I didn't recognise the handbag. I don't carry one myself. But I didn't recognise it because Sadie had only lived with me for sort of 24 hours. But I very quickly turned around and shouted her downstairs and said, come downstairs, is this your handbag? There's a handbag outside. Sorry, the door was open. I was just being very apologetic because I thought I could have locked the door. This is my fault. I sort of bent down, helped her pick the things up. We put them all back in the bag and I said, is there anything missing? She went, no, there's nothing missing. Everything's there. I've got my makeup, money, phone, purse, everything's there. There's nothing missing. And I thought, that's strange. Now, if you can imagine where the handbag had been thrown, at the top of the house sits quite high up off the roadside. There's a steep pitted path to it that then turns left to the front door. So where it had been thrown down was behind a wall, to be fair, so you wouldn't see it from the roadside. Anyway, but yeah, there's nothing missing. Then, I mean, I'd firstly looked to see if my car was there. My car was still there, which was good news, of course. I've then walked back into the house. I've walked through the door at the bottom of the stairs, which was closed, into the front room. And when I got into the front room, I looked up and looked around, and in the corner, which is heading, well, I told you about seeing that shadow earlier.
Yeah.
Heading into the kitchen, right at the foot of the door, across the door frame at the bottom, there were 5 knives, 5 cooking knives, my 5 cooking knives. They were quite evenly spaced. They were in size order, from large to small, and they were driven into the floor. When I say driven into the floor, we're not talking just pushed into the floor a little bit. I had oak floorboards that I sanded down and varnished, and they were a good 2 inches into the floorboard. So trying to pull them out, I went and grabbed hold of one as I was saying to her, stay here. I'm going to go around the house and check what's going on. Just to make sure there wasn't anyone else in the house was the first worry. I didn't think it was paranormal, to be fair. I just thought somebody's in the house.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean...
So I went over to the knives. I checked one of them and it was literally driven that far, and it wasn't a quick, easy pull out the floor job. It was stuck in. So I went into the kitchen. There were 2 cupboard doors open, one on each side of the kitchen, and the drawer to where the cutlery was open. The knives weren't from there, though. I had a knife block on the side, which was obviously empty because they were in the floor. I then walked through. There was a door that went into a sort of lean-to utility room at the back of the house.
Yeah.
Walked in there. There's a WC in there as well. There's nobody in the house. Everything was locked up. All the windows were locked up. I walked back into Sadie and just said, I don't know how to explain this. I said, but is this some sort of sick joke? Has Seth done this? But he's not the sort of kid to do that. And I don't think anyone would dare do that to the house, isn't it? It's not a thing a friend would do, put it that way.
No.
And Seth wasn't one of my closest friends, but he was in that sort of circle of friends at the time that would meet up and see each other every week, pretty much. And it did, I'm not going to lie, after that had happened, I did probably have a week or 2 of sleepless nights.
I'm not surprised. One thing that with that is you'd hear somebody do that. I think in my head you'd have to drive a knife through oak floorboards.
Yep.
You're going to
have to use an implement. You'd have to use a hammer or whatever. There was nothing left near it that could have driven them into the floor. There wasn't a bloody hammer or anything sat on the floor next to them, and it was very, very strange. And when I say they were hard to get out of the floor, it was like sword in the stone trying to pull them out.
Yeah.
Thought somebody was going to shout Hail King Arthur.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it's terrifying. Do you know what I mean?
Genuinely, I can laugh about it now. I wasn't laughing that day. It was genuinely terrifying. And I did have, as I said, a couple of weeks of sleepless nights thinking how it had happened. Was it somebody who had broken in the house and done it? But like you said, if they did, I heard a taxi woke me up outside.
Exactly.
So somebody in the room below the master bedroom, because that's where it was, the room below the master bedroom is the living room into the kitchen, I'd have heard it. 100% I would have heard it, and it would have woken me up. So yeah, It was a scary one. That's one of the scary ones.
Yeah, it's super unsettling. That really stuck in my head. I mean, there is a lot that goes on in the first book, isn't there? There's.
Oh god, yeah.
There's
25 stories in there from different people.
But then, like, I noticed, I'm going to be jumping back and forward. But then you get to the second book, there's like you talk about the other things, but then there's like if you're not concentrating, you'll miss little things that you say, and there are also little things that have happened. This is what I mean. I listened to it recently, and I was like, I'll make a note of that. But then I've forgotten it, not in a bad way, because there's that much going on. Do you know what I mean? So I have to re-listen to it again, and it's brilliant. I love both books, man. I've probably listened to them both.
Thank you very much.
Twice, yeah, easily.
Brilliant.
But
thank you ever so much. I appreciate that.
But yeah, that is pretty terrifying in my book. There's that. I don't think I'd leave. I don't think I'd leave, but I'd just be like, yeah, I wouldn't sleep for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Be very unnerved about that. So what was the experience that made you a believer? Or are you? Well, that's the question. Are you a fully fledged believer now?
You might think I'm crazy, but not. I wouldn't say fully fledged, no. But I wouldn't say I'm a skeptic. I am literally sat right in the middle, only because I know, and I'll tell you the story in a second, what the one thing that really turned my head, literally turned my head, towards something. Well, it is paranormal. If there's something going on that you can't explain, it's paranormal or supernatural, whatever you want to call it. And the particular night that I'm talking about, you will have read about in the first book, was only a few years ago. I can't say exactly off the top of my head, but probably about 5 years ago. And at this stage, I think there'd probably been 5 or 6 sightings of the old lady at this stage. And I was still saying, I've not seen her. I've not seen anything physically. The only things I'd seen at this stage were after the fact of what had happened, like the knives. Yeah. Or I saw the shadow go under the bottom of the door. Yeah. Which I can't, don't get me wrong, I can't explain that. And I can't explain the footsteps going after it. And I'd heard things, I've heard voices in the house. Not EVPs, I'm talking proper voices in the house when there's nobody there. So all that stuff's happened, and I still was sat on the fence a little bit, because I was just thinking there must be some sort of explanation. I'm a logical person, there must be some sort of explanation to all of it. There's got to be. And then one night I'm sat on the sofa with my wife, as she is now. I don't think we wouldn't have been married. No, I don't think we would have been married at the time. But we're sat on the sofa, we've had a long day at work, both of us, and we were sat having a glass of wine together, literally just opened the bottle of wine, shut the curtains, and sat down to have a chat about how our days had been. Very chilled out. As we're sat there, TV's paused, and the door handle that goes to the foot of the stairs, where there's been a lot of paranormal activity over the years at that sort of place. That's where we've seen the shadow go under the door and the footsteps going up the stairs and stuff. We saw the door handle come down. Now, the reason we both turned our heads, and when I say turn my head to the paranormal, literally, my head nearly snapped because I heard the door handle coming down. I knew the front door was locked. The door handle came down. It's a spring-loaded door handle. The door starts creaking open. It has got a creak to it as well. It sort of starts creaking open, and then it stops about 8 inches open. So I can see into the darkness at the bottom of the stairs, and all that's there is a place where we put all our shoes on, like a shoe rack, and then there's the door to outside. And I looked up, sort of bent my head round and said, hello. And as I said hello, the door handle snapped up and the door slammed shut. And I looked at my wife, and genuinely it's making me a bit...
I know, I was just like...
a little bit. It makes me feel a little bit funny talking about that, because I saw that with my own eyes. And I jumped up off the sofa. I looked at my wife very quickly, jumped up off the sofa, ran to the door, opened it, and looked around. And there was nothing. The door was locked. And I know as well as you do, I'm talking to you now, and anybody listening to this, there has to be a force pushing that door handle down.
Yeah, 100%. It's not going to be a vibration, is it, that's causing that?
And anyone that says, oh, door can open because of the wind, yeah, that's fine. Explain the door handle.
Yeah.
Because I can't. And I've thought about it 1,000 times over. There's no way it can happen. But I stood there scratching my head at the bottom of the stairs, and before I walked back in the front room, just said to my wife, "Just tell me what you've just seen."
Yeah, please say it's the same thing
just
I've just seen.
explain to me what you've just seen. And she said, "I saw the door handle come down, the door opened, you said hello, it snapped back up, and then the door slammed shut." I went, "Okay, well that's what I saw. So, but how do you explain that? How can you explain that?" And when people say you don't believe, it's not that I don't believe in. I believe there's something going on. I just don't know if it's ghosts and spirits or if it's something that we haven't discovered yet, some sort of energy that we don't necessarily know about yet.
I'm very much in the same place as yourself. Do you know what I mean? Because like I've had things I can't explain, but it's pretty damn weird. You know what I mean? I've been to places like the Golden Fleece in York. I've been to Hat Green Nuclear Bunker. They're weird places. And yeah, I had a couple of things happen. I don't. When I'm hearing a sigh in my ear, and I know there's nobody else apart from a lady who I'm with who's sat down the stairs somewhere in the bunker, and I can hear a sigh in my ear. What else is that going to be? I don't know. It's crazy, man. I mean, like I go into which one? Oh yeah, this got me as well. This one, the cough in your ear.
Yes.
That's
one of the
scariest.
One of the scariest things that's ever happened to me in the house.
Yeah.
And when I say, if you've ever been to anybody who's ever been scared stiff where you cannot move, I'm not the sort of guy. As we mentioned earlier, I'm quite a tall guy. I'm 6'4". I don't really get intimidated by much, and I'm not scared of much apart from I'm not a big fan of spiders. But other than that, not particularly bothered about anything. But this wasn't an eerie setting either. This was 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun's shining through the curtains. Wife's asleep in bed behind me. My son was only young at the time. He's in the little, do you know the cots at the side of the bed that you have when they're really little? He's in there asleep. And I can hear the sound of a xylophone. Like, I can explain this, like the creepy sound of a xylophone from a horror film. Yeah. That you hear before something's going to jump out at you. It was, just eerie, really eerie. But I got up out of bed and I thought, where's that coming from? And I did the usual thing. I checked my phone because I do listen to podcasts. So I checked my phone and there's nothing on there. I checked my work phone, the battery was dead on it. I went round the bed. So the foot of the bed, I walked round foot of the bed round to my wife's side, checked on her dressing table, looked at her phone. But as I got round there, the xylophone noise was getting lower. So, further away, if you like. Yeah. So I realised I was going in the wrong direction, headed back round the foot of the bed, got to the wardrobe. Bear in mind my wife's still asleep at this point, and I grabbed the handles and I put my ear to the middle of the wardrobe door. And it's a big fitted L-shaped wardrobe in the bedroom, but I grabbed these two metal handles and put my ear to the door, and I can hear it coming from inside. Now, I know we don't own a xylophone. I know there shouldn't be anyone sat in there playing one anyway. And we don't keep any kiddies' toys or anything there. It's just my wife's clothes, my clothes, all hundreds of her shoes, far too many of them. But as I pull the handles open, the music stops. Straight away, just like, oof, it's gone, it's stopped, and I'm back in silence again. And as I've got the doors fully open, I sort of lean back and I'm looking round in the wardrobe, and as I am, in my left ear, there's a really deep guttural cough. It sounded to me like a man's, like a smoker's cough, but like a really manly. But it was right in my ear, so close to me that it felt like if I turned my face, and this is why I was froze stiff. If I turn my face to the left hand side, there's going to be somebody stood there. Yeah,
you're going to see somebody staring back at you.
So I stood there, probably looking like a madman in my boxer shorts, holding two wardrobe doors, looking into a wardrobe, looking straight forward into a wardrobe, shouting my wife's name, but the words weren't coming out. So I was kind of going, I've called her Grace in the books. Grace, Grace, Grace. And eventually she said, "Are you all right?" And I went, "Not really. Did you hear that? Please tell me you heard all that." And she didn't, but that was the start of what we call the week of madness. So we have little things happen that start to get, I don't know if worse is the best thing or better, or more paranormal throughout the week, if you like, until it sort of crescendos at the end and something a bit worse happens, and then it stops and we don't have it for a month or two. And it's funny because you said earlier that there's that many different things happened in the house. If you actually think about it, it's probably not that bad. I've been here 21 years. Well, for me, it's quite normal, but I've been here 21 years, and I've only written about 20. I've written about 28 different stories in the book, in essence.
Yeah.
From different people, family, friends, me. In fact, how many have I written about? I've written about 25 in the first book, 23 in the second, so 48. And then I've got about another time, I've got about another 13, 14 chapters that I could write now. And don't get me wrong, I've not written down. I keep note of them all because I'm trying to find out a rhyme or reason as to when this happens or why it happens.
Yeah, like
a pattern
sort of thing.
Yeah, trying to find a pattern. But I don't write about every single in the books. I certainly don't write about every single footstep because it'd just be the most boring book in the world. When they do happen, because they're quite often. So
I've touched a little bit more. I think it was the same story as well. It linked into. I think you were I think you were in bed. You just woken up or something, and Grace heard something at the bottom of the bed.
Oh yes, yeah. It was in the same week.
Yeah, the same
so
week,
that was, if I remember right, that was the Tuesday. That 7 o'clock in the morning with the xylophone and the cough in my ear was the Tuesday. The Wednesday morning. So my wife hadn't heard any of that on the Tuesday, but she had to kind of comfort me and calm me down out of this scared stiff moment, which genuinely really freaked me out. The Wednesday morning, pretty much the same time, 7 o'clock in the morning, pretty much to the minute. I think it was about 1 or 2 minutes past 7. My wife woke me up by shaking me in bed and sort of shouting my name, Will, or Liam, to be fair. Liam.
It gets confusing, doesn't it?
It does, because I'm talking about this stuff to keep my mates' names. I don't mind telling everyone my name's Liam, but I want to keep everyone else's anonymous for their sake. Because it does turn into a bit of a circus if you don't, and I don't want that. As passionate as the paranormal community is, you just don't want everyone tipping up at your door or over your mates' doors. Exactly. So she shook me up in the morning and said, there's something at the end of the bed. I was like, what are you talking about? She went, there's something growling at the end of the bed. I was like, well, what? And we have got 2 dogs, but they live... Well, I say they sleep in, we call it their cosy quarters. They've got a right nice built-in bed in the kitchen that they love. If you say it's bedtime, they both run to their bed and you lock them away for the night and they're happy as Larry. But that's on the far side of the kitchen in the extension. So it's downstairs, right through the house on the other side. So you don't hear them from up in our bedroom. Even if you're barking, you'd probably just hear the high-pitch end of the bark, I think, probably from upstairs. You wouldn't hear a low rumble.
You wouldn't hear a growl, no,
But she basically says to me, please go and check. And as I'm sort of getting up out of bed, I walk round and there's a clean pile of clothes that's waiting to be put away. Just folded up, waiting to be put away, just folded up at the end of the bed. There's nothing there. I got back in bed and I looked at her and said, there's nothing there, you're fine, just go back to sleep. And she said, there was definitely something there. It did it 3 times. Didn't just do it once, it did it 3 times. It sounded feral. It didn't sound like a normal dog, it sounded like a wolf. It was really, really feral. So she was really creeped out by that as well.
I'd just like to say a big thank you to Liam, aka William C. Grave, for taking the time to speak to me about The Lady in the Bay Window and The Lady in the Bay Window 2, and also the stage show. The books are available on Amazon and Audible, but part 2 of this interview will be available next week. So in the meantime, give me a like, give us a comment, follow me on Spotify, YouTube. Now I've got a YouTube and all the episodes are on there. And get it followed. If you have any stories of your own you'd like to talk about, email me at ghostsandthat@gmail.com or send me a message on one of my platforms. And until then, people, keep an eye out for them ghosts and that.